and then we shall go live. All right, here we go. As usual, just waiting for the live stream to connect, even though it's usually connected before. All right, here we go. Oh, whoops. Okay, let me mute this. As usual, just waiting for the... All right, sorry, there was a little echo because there's a delay. That's hilarious. Okay, so getting all the technical things sorted. All right, welcome everybody to this Cosmic Chat with Madeleine Parker and me, Amalia Natalio. We are here to share with you the cosmic forecast for the Virgo new moon, which is occurring on September 2nd at 9:55 p.m. Eastern at 11 degrees 3 minutes. Virgo is earth energy, and the archetype is this virginess kind of high priestessy sort of vibe. And even if you're a guy, it's, you know, it's that feeling of, to me, it reminds me of creating something, birthing something, but it's coming from a very grounded place. So we had the Leo new moon, which was very big and bold and maybe inspired, and now we're grounding that inspiration into form in a way. And during this new moon, there's a feeling of safety that comes from clarity, the clarity of what you're focused on, what you're doing. There's Virgo also has to do with like practicality and order. Virgos like things organized. My daughter is a Virgo, and her room was always pretty meticulous. She had everything in its place. Every little figurine had a home, like all of those things. And this is an opportunity also for us to accept our imperfections. Virgo is a bit of a perfectionistic energy. Now we're going to look at ourselves from the viewpoint of we're perfect in our imperfection, and to accept those parts of us. And this is also a time period where things may not go exactly as planned. There's a lot of retrograde planetary energies. I know Madeleine's going to be talking about that because those are affecting all of us in such a big way. And I want to show you really quickly the impact chart. I think I did this last week, and I feel like it's really helpful, at least for me. Visually, it helps me to see where, like, what signs are impacted most strongly by this new moon. So as you can see here, we have the new moon here in Virgo, and the red lines are taking you to the signs where there's an opposition or a square, which means you're going to feel this energy a bit more intensely. There's going to be a potentially greater impact on your life. So as you can see here, you know, like from what is like 11 to 21 degrees of Sag, similar for Pisces and also for Gemini. So if you have any planets or points in Sag, Pisces, or Gemini in those degrees, definitely be aware that you're going to be feeling something. You're going to be pushed to change something. There's going to be a tension in some way in your life. You'll feel it really significantly, or there's the potential for you to feel it significantly. So I find that really helpful for me to know, okay, be on the lookout for those things. Okay. I want to also share a little bit about the body connections with Virgo, because what I have noticed in my exploration with these moon cycles over the past few years is that during this new moon cycle, you might notice some disruption, perhaps, or a highlight of some part of your body that's activated by this new moon. And this new moon right now coming up is connected to the pancreas, the small intestine, the colon, the digestive tract, the rectum, and then, funny enough, the eyes and the ears, those sense organs. So be aware of what you're putting into your body, how your body is processing that food, and also with your eyes and ears, what's coming into your body through your senses, and how are you processing that information? One insight that I think is helpful no matter what the moon cycle is is drinking more water. Drinking more water is going to keep you hydrated, activated. Your body can run better. Maybe even putting a little sprinkle of pure sea salt in your water, which also is we're electrical. So that's kind of activating our electrical system. A couple of transits, not too many, that are connected to the moon. So obviously the moon and the sun are together in the sky. So we're going to be merging our inner and our outer, really going in order to have a sense of what we like to create in the outer world. Now, the moon is also square Jupiter. Jupiter tends to be one of those planets that everybody loves because Jupiter feels so good, and Jupiter is this benefic planet. Jupiter expands anything it comes in contact with. So as the square, you might feel an expansion within your emotional world, and it's going to be encouraging you to balance your emotions and your analytical mind. And the desire for self-discovery and expansion will likely also be felt. And we have one more aspect, and that's the moon opposing Saturn, which may bring feelings of overwhelm. So, Virgo likes things in order. Saturn likes things in order. But the moon is here, and we're might be feeling like we can't get things in order. There's too much to do. There's too much going on. So we might have to pause. There might be a need for self-reflection. And it might be difficult to connect with others emotionally because you're going to be so focused on your own foundation, on what's going on with your own world, that it might be a little challenging to connect with other people in some ways from an emotional, internal level. And then I think that's pretty much it. The flower that we have for this new moon is the squash blossom. I love this because I feel like in September, even though it's early September for me, even though it's not the autumnal equinox time yet, we're embarking on that. The weather is beginning to shift and change. And this kind of reminds me of autumn in a way. And this activates liberation, and the message is feel free in your body. Virgo is also connected to your health and your wellness. So moving your body and feeling that sense of liberation, and that could be movement of any kind, dancing or yoga, or maybe even something a bit more strenuous, but really taking care and allowing yourself the softness and gentleness in this period of time too, because there's a lot of other cosmic energy that's playing out here as well. And so, Madeleine, would you like to embark on that journey of discovery when it comes to the other planetary energies that we're experiencing?
You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Right. I really love this new moon. I really, in fact, in general, the next eclipse, because we've got a couple more eclipses this year coming in, which I'm going to talk about, because there's a relationship here between all of these eclipses that started in March, May, and now where the nodes are going to shift into Pisces here. So we're getting all these eclipses next year are going to be Pisces, Virgo. So this is sort of preparing us for the next year. Now I'm just going to get over some shadow aspects. We do have Neptune, Saturn conjoining 2025, which is in historically disease, illness, and could be potentially another pandemic. But the last pandemic that happened with Saturn, Neptune, was not that big. It was SARS. Some people it wasn't that big of a deal. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's a big problem. But in the meantime, everybody ought to be Virgo, which is why we're having these Virgo new moons and Virgo eclipses coming up, and Pisces eclipses, is that preparing for us for the Saturn Neptune, where we've really purified our bodies and we're really getting healthy, and there's a lot of awakening going on, a lot of sort of spirituality kind of doors opening for people that I'll explain. But so we're preparing in these eclipses for this new chapter of this new era, really, pretty much. So I will explain why there's this major purification process going on here with the other eclipses, this upcoming eclipse, and what this full moon, new moon, is a part of. All right, I shall explain my theory here.
Can't wait to hear it, Madeleine.
Yes. So you mentioned the purification of Virgo, pure energy, and Virgo. Am I on the right thing? So we're at 11 degrees Virgo here. Now the part of the sky that this touches is the part of the sky that's ruled by Venus. So it's a Venus Saturn energy, because Saturn, the nakshatra that this is on, is I can't pronounce it. Purva Purvuna, whatever, I can't pronounce it. Venus, Saturn, and then the star that this is on, it's a fixed star called Zosma, and that fixed star again is Zosma, is ruled by Venus. So now we're going to look at Venus here, because Venus is very much the ruler of these two eclipses, that the next eclipse that's coming up, and the eclipse in March 2024 on 25th, and it's hitting this part of the nodes, which where Venus and Uranus and the South Node are during this new moon.
So if anyone was wondering what Madeline was saying a few moments ago about the words she couldn't pronounce in nakshatras, that's based on Vedic astrology. We're talking about tropical, but because Madeline is the astrological maven that she is, she's looking at all the different systems to give even more of a broad perspective for you all. So just wanted to give people some context in case they're unfamiliar with those terms.
Yeah. So basically what's happening is there's the eclipse that happened in March 2025, and the moon was at this exact point on this new moon where Venus is. So this eclipse is highly connected to this new moon. Then we have the South Node, the next eclipse coming in the next one. I don't want to confuse people with too much information. I just want you to understand this point really quick, is that this is hitting on so this is the next eclipse that's coming in on October 2nd, with the South Node right where the moon is, where the moon is on that earlier eclipse, where they had eclipses, and where Venus is on this new moon. Okay, so I'm going to explain something what's happening. It's very important to understand, because this is why we're purifying. So what's happening is this is hitting the Saturn-Venus part of the sky, where we are learning. I'm talking about this spot right here, not this spot. I'll explain this spot in a minute, but this spot here, because this is very significant, because this new moon is ruled in its star and nakshatra by Venus. So we have to look at the Venus movement. And Venus right now is conjoining the South Node, and it's at a part of the sky that represents negative Venus, which represents impure, things we do that are fear-based, things we do for instant gratification, short-term gratification, pleasing, pornography, lusty, doing things for money that are just slightly below your standards of ethical, and that you do it because it's good money, and you know maybe it's not entirely right, but you do it and you get good money for it, and you just don't worry about it. So anything that's not really in alignment with a spiritual Venus, boom, we're releasing, and that's how we become pure. Because how are we purifying this Mercury and Moon? We're purifying it through this energy right here, because we have the South Node, which is the release, which is the dragon's tail. Now we're coming out of the dark ages. So all of us, we're coming out of a history of the dark ages. So we're purifying our fear-based, lower density, materialistic, non-spiritual based choices in Venetian areas, which is pleasure, instant gratification, ways that we aren't looking for the long haul. We're just kind of getting by and making things feel good as we get by. All of that stuff that's not good for us, because that's partly karmic based, fear based, which we're clearing because we had all those Capricorn full moons. I try not to give too much information, but long story short, this is a purifying new moon that is preparing us for the eclipse, the two eclipses that are coming up, where we're releasing our toxicities in love. We're releasing our toxic way of operating for finances, releasing, because we're entering into a more awakened spiritual era. Now that leads me to the next message for this eclipse, which is new moon, which I literally is blowing my mind. I literally, when you really get into detail about astrology and you realize how much these things are lining up and how precision it is, you get really surprised, because you just know there's somebody in charge here, or a force of benefic. And what we're seeing is this incredible divine trine and sextiles of the outer planets. And I mean, you cannot plan this. We're having Pluto in retrograde, Uranus in retrograde, Neptune in retrograde, forming this protective seal roof energy with all the outer planets. And what is it pointing to? It is pointing to Neptune in the sign of Pisces, which is the spirituality. And then we have Mars squaring Neptune, where we're changing our minds. This is a mutable new moon. We're adapting. We're changing our minds. We're waking up spiritually, because honestly, the way through in this new paradigm that we're entering, which is a new spirituality. It's a spiritual we're leaving the material, the Kali Yuga, which is the worship of false gods, and we're moving into the spiritually awakened, which is what this is. I mean, it's just so blessed. I can't even tell you. So we're purifying our lower density, fear-based, instant gratification, lust, porno, energy, and work. I mean, you know, you could be a prostitute in your career, which is that you're doing a job you don't like and you're getting paid for it. And it's good money and you get benefits, but you're miserable. So that again is that same energy of where you're harloting, or you're letting go of out of balance ways of operating in all things Venus, right? And out of balance is going to mean fear-based. That's always what throws us out of balance, is that we're in fear. And so we're pulling into the material realm out of fear, and we're supposed to stay balanced, material and spiritual, balance, right? So now we're going to go into a more spiritual, because we're being too material, we're going to balance into more spiritual, which is the ultimate place for Venus. Venus wants to be ethereal and spiritual. She does not like the lower density. That's why she's exalted in Pisces, which is why this is a powerful new moon, because we've got Virgo, we're coming up to this Pisces eclipse coming up, which is the spiritual, which is the Virgo, that Pisces, that quantum physics, the Virgo grounds the spiritual, the download, the spiritual messages, the spiritual guidance, or the 5D, the imagination. And then Virgo grounds it, makes it practical and usable. It's that quantum physics. It's the genius. It's a very, because you're blending the highest dimension with the most material side, which is the practical application of this higher concept, right? So Venus wants to ground its spiritual self, its spiritual concept, its higher self. So this new moon, we are now grounding. That's what the Virgo is to make it into practical. You were talking about this practical, pure, motivated of service energy to create long-term Jupiter square Saturn, because Jupiter squaring Saturn is saying you can't, it's not working this way. You got to change the way you're doing it. It's not working. And you got to restructure something here. You got to do it the right way. If you want this to work in the long haul, it's like, I was just talking to someone about this transit. Like if you don't tie your shoes, Jupiter wants to just go and not tie his shoes, because Jupiter is Sagittarius. They don't like to sit and do, they're just go kind of energy, fire energy. So if you don't stop and tie your shoes, you're going to fall and you're going to hit the dirt and you're not going to get there. So Saturn says, sit down, don't go anywhere, Missy. You sit right down and you tie your shoes. Like, don't you, you've got to be responsible, right? So Virgo new moon is becoming awakened to a practical way of a spiritual vision, of a more spiritual path. And it's this polarity in astrology that creates so much power. That tension creates so much manifestation. This is an abundant new moon, very, very positive part of the sky, very abundant part of the sky. But it's the part of the sky that is abundant through pure intentions of service, and to ground a spiritual thing, not to ground a material security, money, or that's that fear-based karma cycle that we're leaving, and that we're now going to ground a spiritual vision, because the other thing with the Saturn squaring Jupiter, it's been happening all month, is it's been making us stop and do something better and right. Now Virgo comes in, where you were saying that clarity comes in and says, okay, here's a new way to start it that grounds this higher vision. Jupiter's all about this higher vision, higher out in the future, something that you're aiming for, right? So Mercury, new moon, a practical new way to continue this the right way, that's of service, that works, it's practical, a way forward, that grounds the spiritual mission, that grounds the calling of your Jupiter in your chart. That's Saturn squaring right now. So the other thing, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so something that has been coming up with my clients recently is, and myself too, to a certain degree, is you have so if whoever's watching this, you are already curious or spiritually oriented, just in the mere fact that you're watching this live or this video replay. However, you might be in partnership with, whether that's in a love relationship or a business partnership, with someone who's not as spiritually inclined. And what has been coming up a lot is, especially with this Virgo new moon, because of its practical nature. I guess the piece of this that I would love for people to take away is that you can present this information in a way that is very practical, and your business partner or marital partner or whatever that person is for you, somebody significant in your life, can pick up the mantle of these practical steps, and they're actually potentially walking their spiritual path without it becoming a spiritual conversation or a spiritually driven thing. They're automatically just doing that because of the energetics at play. So I just wanted to mention that, just because it's been such a big topic lately.
It's an interesting topic because I see that in my clients as well. But here's the interesting thing is I didn't even get to this part yet, because we've got the Mercury trine in Chiron, and Mercury rules the new moon, right? So we're very much coming out of this. We're with Mars is ruled by Mercury right now. In Mercury, it's Gemini, and it's causing a square to Neptune, which is spirituality. Mars, men, are you kidding me? Mercury, they're waiting. They're changing their mind. You're not going to survive this new earth if you don't go spiritual. These men are going to get left behind if they don't wake up and go spiritual. It's the way it is. They're going to wake up. They either wake up or they. Sorry, men. It is time.
Well, it's not all men, but men I have found, tend to be the ones that are less interested in this path.
It tends to be
more and more are getting there, but
tends to be men who have women who are in the spiritual field. But you know what that means is that they're extreme feminine, and the masculine are pretty masculine. You know, you get your feminine, usually your psychic intuitive feminines are going to be pretty feminine, and they're going to be working, they're going to have a spiritual gift. But our society in Kali Yuga oppressed the feminine spiritual gift, which is why the world is dropping in its abundancy frequency rate. Yeah. So the men get to pull their socks up and come along, or they're going to get left. We're entering in feminine leadership, which is not female gender. It's about female energy, which is psychic, which is spiritual, which is intuitive, which is working with the higher dimensions, because we cannot create abundance without working with the higher forces. That's how it works. So the men have to.
And men, we'd love for you to come along. We love having you around.
They are going to change their minds. They're going to come along. They don't have a choice. Look at this. This is all about spirituality, the greater planets, the outer planets. They're the most dominant planets affecting our world, our collective, our individual charts. They are the most slowing moving planets. They have the most long-term impacts because they move so slow. They're in retrogression, so they're going to go back and forth here. So it's like, what is this saying? This is saying you will be saved and able to progress into the new earth upon a spiritual bent. You know, it's because the new earth, we're coming out of Kali Yuga, which was the material realm, which was the worship of the material gods, the false gods, which are not real, like celebrities and kings and, you know, spirits, whatever, church people. So these are the false gods. So now we're shifting into the true worship of true divine source energy, which is where our abundance is. So I tell women, you just keep going and just tell them that, you know, because I have other clients, and you just keep going and show them the abundance that you're starting to manifest. They can come along. But us feminines and the people who are working in the spiritual realm, we have to keep going because we can't be oppressed, because we already did that in our last lives. But in this life, you have to throw off oppression, which is why we have retrograde Uranus right now. It's like literally saying no more oppression, because that's oppressing us from our sovereignty, because our connection to spirituality is our sovereignty, and that is the true authority. So, you know, and our pineal glands have been, you know, blocked by Wi-Fi and fluoride and all this kind of stuff. We have to clear our pineal glands, get away from the Wi-Fi. That's why I wear all this copper. I have a copper crown I use to sometimes. This is working really well for me right now. But basically, we have to protect our connection to spirit, because this is how we're going to be guided through with this beautiful, you literally, the more you connect with the higher dimensions right now, get downloads, you're going to get solutions to all these problems that pull, because that's what the Virgo new moon is all about. It's not about starting random new beginnings that are practical. It's about starting random new beginnings that are divinely guided, that we are uploading, that we're seeing as a vision, as a solution that we have been given from the higher realm. And so, and that's how we're going to be empowered here. We've got a Pisces eclipse coming up too, which hits at the higher degree point of, actually it's really close to this Neptune thing. The Pisces eclipse is kind of close to Neptune. So,
Well, Madeline, as you're getting ready to pull that chart up, I just wanted to share too, if people are like, okay, downloads, how do I receive downloads? What does that mean? You know, it can come in a flash of an instant knowing. It can come through a meditation practice. It could come while in the shower, this insight or this aha. It could come when you're on a walk. It could come when you're driving your car. It's like it's those the drop in of information seemingly out of nowhere that feels right somehow, that has an energy behind it that makes you feel excited. And that's pretty much from my experience when a download. It doesn't have to be some, you know, you see people online channeling and getting all this information from, you know, this being or that galaxy or another. And yes, that's true and valid, but for you, it might just be a little nugget of information that comes through that feels important to you somehow. So,
well, you really, you know, you were talking about it earlier, like taking downtime. The most important thing to be doing to get down, which is interesting because Virgo is so busy, 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 busy. A lot of Virgos are addicted to being busy. I have my son in the sixth house, Sagittarius, and I kind of get a little addicted to being busy. It makes you feel good, like getting somewhere and you're doing something and you're being productive, right? Well,
yeah.
to unload, and remember, we're shifting to feminine energetically. The stars are even shifting to feminine energies. It's shifting to blue. And that means it's more receptivity. So what does that mean? Virgo doesn't act yet. Virgo doesn't do anything until you get the download, until you get guided, until you know it's coming from the other realm. Now, the Virgo in astrology, in tarot, the Virgo is the hermit card, right? So you got to go be by yourself. You got to go sit on a rock, look at the water, go be somewhere, and then you get your downloads. But you don't get downloads when you're busy rushing around. You just don't. You get downloads when you're like sitting twiddling your thumbs and taking some time off. I get a lot of downloads paddleboard because I'm in the water and I'm just like not thinking, and all this clarity comes. I get these like what do you call them, like epiphanies, you know. That's what we're talking about. So the point is to slow down, go hermit, Virgo, the card that in tarot with the light, connect, and then you get some clarity on how to start your new beginning. And how to, and by the way, it's going to involve our Jupiters, our callings, because of this, the rest that's going on in the chart involving Saturn and Jupiter with that square. It's all, in other words, this new moon, we're really hopefully sticking on some sort of path that we see a future in, because that's Jupiter. So we see some sort of future or some sort of abundance down the line here with this journey that we're reaching. And that is a wonderful thing. But what happens is we don't have clarity because we're not always 100% connected to the, if we're 100% connected to spirit, we never get lost. You're just like an animal. You're always going the right way. You're always tuned in. So these new beginnings are for our Jupiter Saturn, which was Jupiter's conjunction 2020. So this is progress, a realization. What I need to do? I need to do it better. I need to do it more detailed, precise. I need to either learn more information, Mercury, communicate. But anyway, jumping back to, which leads me to this Mercury trining Chiron, where we're healed now. So we have some confidence to step forward into our mission, you know, with that Chiron in Aries, where we're burning off lower density fear base from turning into from being leaders and sticking our necks out. And Mars squaring Neptune with that Mercury rulership there, that mutable energy. I mean, talk about mutable, just completely changing minds. I mean, just prepare for your man to change his mind, you to change your mind, new insights, new perspectives, potential conflict, religious conflict, Neptune, religious fights, conflicts. But we are whenever there's a square, there's some sort of ending. We're ending something. We're ending an old perception. We're ending an old perspective, and we're seeing a spiritual. I don't want to say, you know, I don't want to use all these same words over, but like some sort of like a belief, a new belief. And in order to put yourself on service in order, in other words, there's a new awakening that, I hate using that word, but like seeing something now that why we need to do something, why it's important.
Like a realization of
yeah,
a new perspective.
that's great. A realizing that, wow, I've been this way, I've been blind, and wow, how if I open up here, I open my mind up and I look at the stars and I look at the cosmic order and I look at the potentials in our future by opening up to this perception of there being other powers in the world that can help us. And that it brings me to an understanding of what kind of new beginning I need to initiate here on this new moon. So it's interesting. And we are purifying because we've got these eclipses in October where we are really done with all things lower density Venus, instant gratification, pleasure, just negative, like just short term.
So something Madeline and I talked about a couple weeks back, I believe, and this feels super important to mention today in the energy of this Virgo new moon because of its feminine nature, is for women out there who are here to, we're all on a mission, okay? But there are some women that are really on a mission who have been playing small or have been dimming their light or have been not, like you were talking about, Madeline, like this realization of, oh my gosh, like there's this grander perspective, there's this bigger mission, and how did I miss it? How did I not see it? And now that I see it, now that I have this realization, now what do I do? Because walking that path is going to potentially leave people behind, or at least it may feel like that. And so I guess my guidance to anyone who's watching this, where this is a resonant concept for you, is that as long as you are being true to yourself and you're being true to your mission and your purpose, and you don't need to know all the details of it, you just need to know like the next step, that the people that are meant to come along with you, that could be a partner, that could be a boyfriend or girlfriend, that could be family members, friends, they will walk with you if they're meant to walk with you. And if they're not, then they will fall away, but new people will emerge and come and walk along with you on that path. So don't be scared. Don't worry. What were you saying, Madeline?
I'm going to be a little tougher than on this subject than everybody. Forget that the ones that come with you, I mean, not that you're wrong, you're right.
Yeah.
Look at it from this perspective. A leader, if you're good, women, we're stepping into feminine energetic lead, and it doesn't mean that women are the boss and we're like men and we're whipping people and we're like the new. I'm talking about the energy of feminine, which is receivership, which is connection, right? Mm-hmm. So, if we're going feminine lead now, the polarities are flipping, which is receptive lead. That means we lead. The receptive people are here to lead now.
And it makes no difference who's coming or not.
You're leading. If you're a true leader, people follow energetically. They subconsciously know your head is somewhere, you know where you're going. And by the way, what is a leader? A leader is someone who knows where they're going, and they know that where they're going is better than here. And they know without a zero doubt that where they're going is better for everybody that they're leading. They have zero doubt. They can pinpoint, they can tell you where we're going. You will pull I practiced I did this, I hate to get off it, I'll make it quick, but I'm Sagittarius, and I always fancied myself as a leader, but I didn't want to do it. Sagittarians are the last fire sign. They're the reluctant leaders. They don't want to do it, and they end up having to do stuff that got left behind by the other leaders, because it's the last sign of the zodiac. We got all the little stuff that nobody else wanted to deal with, right? So I was volunteering at a horse sanctuary thing, and one of the things you could do is, if you were a leader, you'd be able to go into that 5 or 6 horses, and you could lead them without a rope, and they would follow you, right? So every day I'd go, oh well, I'm a Sagittarius, I can lead the horses. So I'd go out there and I'd say, everybody watch, I'm going to do it. I'm in leader mode. I'm a leader. And I'd get in front of the horses and I walk and I go, okay, let's go. And all the horses would just look at me, and I would watch all the people, they'd be excited because they thought I would do it, right? And then I would watch all their heads go down, like, oh, she didn't do it. Like, oh, I'm full of shit. I couldn't do it, right? So I channeled, the spirit came and talked about downloads, and because somebody was directing a film, and they came for me because I was a psychic at the time, doing some more psychic work. Now I just mostly do astrology. And I said, yes, a spirit came through that says how to be a leader, which is you got to know exactly where you're going. You got to pinpoint to the dot. You got to know. You got to be able to say exactly where you're pointing. You got to know without a zero doubt that over there is better than where we are here. That came through to me, right? So I went into the paddock. I watched the next day. I said, I know it. I got it. I got it. Everybody was there. Everybody came to watch me because there was a lot of volunteers at the sanctuary. They're all standing there watching us. I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. So I walk in the paddock. I stand with the horses, right? They all look at me and I go, okay, horses, you see over there at the end of the paddock, you see that tree branch right there? Right there. We're going right there. Because I know without a zero doubt that over there is more shaded and cooler than where we are here. I guarantee it's better. I start walking. And before I even see that the horses are with me, everybody starts jumping up and down. Like, well, she's doing the horses. And I was walking, they all came with me. And I literally felt like I was levitating because the horses were breathing in my ear. And I said, all right, we're going this way. We're going that way. We're going that way. Like I was just stepping into this leadership. So that's the way you be a leader. You step into it, you know it's better, and you head that way. And then people can't help but follow. It creates this vortex of energy behind you that people fall into. So the horses, they walked around with me all day in the paddock.
I love that story. I've heard that story before, and it is so much fun every time I hear it because I can totally see this entire scene unfolding with you going out there thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. And then it not happening. It's like, oh, dang it. Like, that did not work out the way I wanted.
I was depressed because I thought I could be a leader if I chose to be, and I couldn't be. And I thought, oh, I'm failing. I'm not. So anyway.
Well, for all the people who are maybe listening and they're going, well, I don't really want to be a leader. I'm not really looking to do those things. And it doesn't even have to be about leading anyone other than yourself. It's not about that at all. It's more going the way that you know that you need to go and honoring yourself in that way. And people may follow you, but it's not, like you were saying, it's not about the people following you. It's just about you leading yourself, because there are people here that need that to, how do I want to say this? There are people that it strikes me, I can't say that this is 100% true, but it strikes me that there are people that really need to make a shift or a change in their life of direction. And that is important for them, but it's not really about leading. It's just about shifting direction for them, which could have an impact on the people around them.
It is about leading in the sense that we have to be led because of the energies now. So we're leading. We do need leaders. We need people that come in and lead towards spirituality, towards the new earth. But what we need is leaders that are guided by spirit, because that's going to be the higher information. Mm-hmm. And but we do need leaders because everybody, and we need multiple different types of leaders. We need leaders and again, we need leaders on how to build and this new world, because we're not using toxic things anymore. So there's a lot of people stepping forward now with new knowledge that have to lead us into this new earth, and we have to be higher guided to. So I follow people who are leading me in my health, who are leading me in how to hopefully build my house. But so it's like stepping into leadership is a scary thing, and it seems egotistical, like I'm a leader, like I'm a big deal. But that's the old paradigm. Mm-hmm. The leader, which is actually where this new moon kind of falls in the sky, is a Leo part of the sky. It's really about, well, I have clarity, I have a better destiny, I see a better place. Come on.
Right. Well, and I'm not saying we don't need leaders. I'm just saying there are some people that may be making choices for themselves, which doesn't necessarily mean they're leading anyone. So, because I just feel like for a lot of people, like you were saying, like the idea of leadership can be scary. It can feel daunting. It can feel like a lot. So for those who are like, that's not resonating with me, it may be they just need to make a shift or a transition, and which may end up becoming a leadership position in some way.
Chart. Just so you know, you got major leader. You're supposed to be a leader. You got Leo all over your chart at that top 10th house. You are supposed to be a leader. Hate to say it.
I know, Natalie, you've been telling me this for so long, and I still, like, sometimes I embrace it and sometimes I resist it. More resistance than embracing.
It's in your chart if you're supposed to step up and lead in some manner, in some way here on this planet, and it's in your fate or not. And usually most in this new era, most people that I see in their charts, they really are here to a lot of 0 degrees, a lot of people here to sort of chart new paths and start new ways. And the Leo, the perception of the king in our day to day is a little bit more negative because we're coming out of a paradigm where we've had negative leaders and negative corruption. And so now we're stepping into the righteous leaders that are, you know, we're stepping into more righteous, which is to serve, not to be a leader, is to serve your people. So anyway, there you go.
That was a fun little excursion. All right, so let's dive into the signs, starting with Aries, of course.
So yes, let's start with Aries. Sorry, my Aries, where are we going the wrong way? Aries, let's go this way. So Aries is going to have Virgo covers their 4th house. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Wait. No, sorry. Why am I feeling like dyslexic here all of a sudden? Come on. Gosh, sorry guys, I'm on the wrong way again. I'm dyslexic with this wheel. Okay, there we are, Virgo. Oh no, I'm sorry. What's wrong with you today? By the way, I have this Neptune square thing squaring my sun. It's been happening all year. And it's really pumped up right now because Mars is squaring that. So it's like I forget things, I lose things. I'm really trying to keep up. All right, so let's go with Aries in the 1st house. You guys have Virgo in your 6th, of course. New moon in your 6th house is going to involve a purification, a quitting of a habit. A lot of people are quitting alcohol. A lot of people are waking up. It doesn't necessarily mean you're an alcoholic. Even just sort of casually drinking can be very detrimental to your health. So there's a lot of like day-to-day activities that have been done that are being quit because we're really releasing, we're purifying in this new moon. So we're releasing things that are not, we're not taking with us. And now you're going to ground some sort of, now because you've got that Pisces over your 12th house, you've got this sort of download, clarity, or you hit a bottom. Sometimes we find spirituality through hitting a bottom, or we get a download. Most people hit bottoms. Most of us hit bottoms. So it's kind of a bit of a bottom, perhaps, new moon, but you hit some kind of a bottom, and you are motivated to take a new beginning that is clarifying you, purifying a day-to-day spiritual practice, perhaps. Also new beginnings in a work, a new practical solution that's more, shall we say, spiritually guided towards the solution in a work, in a day-to-day activity, or with let's say a boss, let's say, because your 6th house can be employees. So it could even be like you hire new people that are better, that are right for you, that there's like a more pure intention behind these relationships, working relationships. And your ruling planet is squaring Neptune in your 12th house. So I'm going to go with Aries having some kind of
Uh-oh, Madeline froze. Hopefully she will be back momentarily. Hang in there with us while we wait for her. Okay. Well, she's still not coming back, so I'm going to share the card for Aries while we're waiting for her. The flower for Aries is the bird of paradise. And the bird of paradise activates a connection. The message is quiet your mind. So this energy with Virgo in the 6th house, which is related to wellness and your being of service, which is very much Virgo in nature, and your day-to-day life is moving through life more from the heart instead of the head. This new moon is ruled by Mercury, which is very much a planet of thinking. There's a lot of activity, like mental activity and chatter. And so now we're going to be guided into more heart-centered movement forward. And this also encourages one to feel that connection with everything around you, the interconnectedness of all of us. And what was the other note I had here? Oh, the thinking so much and how thinking too much can affect your health. You may notice tension in your neck or your shoulders when your mind is super, super active. So the bird of paradise for Aries. And there's all these like different avenues that can be taken as well. Okay, let me see if Madeline is, yep, she's trying to get back on. So we'll hang tight waiting for her. In the meantime, the other part of, I'm going to share the flower for, again, for the Virgo new moon. I love that this is like this flower kind of reaches out. It's like expansive. It also invites you to come in. So during this new moon, we're going within. We are focusing on our own heart intentions, where we would like to go as we move forward. And then we're expanding out, just like this flower. So coming in and then expanding out, being of service, being a support for other people, while also honoring ourselves in that process, finding those practical steps. And like Madeline was saying before, the practical steps that are also very spiritually guided and spiritually oriented as we move ahead. One other thing I want to mention about these flower cards that I'm using, I am using the Flower Evolution card deck made by Lotus Way. I had the honor and the privilege of being in Phoenix last week and being able to connect with the team there and to sit in on a smoke offering, which was just so magnificent and beautiful. I felt like it was such a gift to be able to do that and to hear more about the things that they're doing going forward, the different products that they're creating. They will be coming up with a new deck that you'll be able to purchase and have one of your own if that calls to you and is of interest to you. I love this deck because it's very supportive of my work and the things that I'm doing going forward in life. And there's all sorts of ways that you can connect with the energy of the flowers, whether it's through taking a screenshot of the flower itself or purchasing. There's some link below, but like the mists, they smell so delightful. I wish you could smell this. Oh, it's magnificent. With all different flowers with different energies that are
Taurus. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, let's do Taurus now. Okay, so you guys have Virgo in your 5th. So you're going to have a new beginning, potentially again, getting pregnant, getting a new baby or new project. You remember the 5th house is me on a stage in front of people. So it could be a new, if you're Virgo rising, you're an actress. I'm sorry, if you're Taurus rising, you're an actress. A lot of Taurans are very beautiful. They're ruled by Venus. So you might have a job opportunity, a new beginning there. Now you are, let's see, where there's going to be an eclipse in your 6th house, but basically the 11th house is where Saturn is and where the next eclipse is Pisces. And it's opposing that. So it's possible you meet new people but with your 11th house there, that Neptune up there, it's almost like you're going to meet new people that open up your mind to spirituality, or you adapt to a new group of people, because new moon, you can make new friends that have a whole new spiritual perspective than you, but because you really like them, they sort of open your mind. You have a new spiritual awakening, and then it inspires you for a new creative project or something new. Or it's like Virgo can always be a new job through a friend, through working with a friend, and you have this revelation around spirituality, or you could do a writing project, a creative film project, which you are going to use to open your mind and expand consciousness through the 11th house, which is your tribe, your social media, your what it's the other word, your league, your peers. That's the word I'm looking for. And you guys are ruled by Mercury. Mercury will have been out of retrograde, so it's fresh and new and ready to go. And it's in your 4th house, so it's in Leo, creative self-expression. It's trining there. You feel really healed and ready to express yourself, ready to let something out and explore some kind of creative expression, self-expression here for new moon in Taurus, which is great for Taurus because they're reluctant to follow an artistic creative path. They lack security too much. So this is more about Taurus spiritually up to a creative path that they think is really going to, well, they're opening up to something a little more creative and less secure based energy. But this is auspicious. These new beginnings are auspicious. They bring us to an auspicious long-term future. And it involves, again, like I say, with the Saturn Jupiter, where you're having to adjust some kind of idea or project or something you've been reaching for. You have to make some kind of adjustments around it. So there we go.
Are we ready? Okay, so we have the, let's see, hold on. We have the, this is the golden columbine flower. Let me see if you, hopefully you guys can see that okay. This dissolves fear and self-criticism and self-judgment in order to expose more of yourself and be vulnerable through potentially a creative project or being more vulnerable in having a child. I mean, talk about vulnerability on so many levels with that as well. And so it's this exposure of your creativity, whatever that may be. And the golden columbine is a really beautiful reminder of it's safe. Taurans like to feel safe. It's safe to be vulnerable. It's safe to expose who you truly are. So pretty.
Yeah, that's your solar plexus too. So it's like, they're, because of that Chiron making a nice energy to Mercury, you're feeling quite healed and ready and do this or ready to do something. You're feeling good inside, with that Chiron try. It feels good, especially for Virgo. Virgo, we're going to feel a little better.
Fabulous.
So, all right.
So here we go. We've got Gemini.
Wow, Geminis are busy. You've got Mars, Jupiter in your first house. You're ruled by Mercury, which is newly and fresh and in a really nice trine to Chiron. You're feeling good. You're feeling ready to start something new. This Virgo energy is in your fourth house. You might want to start moving or look into a new moving project or to be more practical about your living situation, to fix it all up, get rid of clutter, clear it up. Like you were talking about your daughter's room, like fix that. It's funny because I know some Geminis are very orderly in their homes. It makes sense because they have Virgo over their fourth. So yeah, you're going to be cleaning up and organizing, and then some sort of new beginning. You're clearing up space for some sort of new situation around your living. And you're going to be having eclipses here in the next year. So there's a good chance you move in the next couple of years. And then you've got, this thing, trining, the spiritual trine. So I would say that a lot of Geminis are having spiritual awakenings because Mars is squaring in their first house. So which is your body. So but I would say because it's ruled in Mercury, they're really changing their mind. They're adapting to some sort of more spiritual way of being. And I know a Gemini who really is doing that because they have planets in their sixth house and they're super duper hard workers. They're very, very wealthy. They're big time art dealer. And they have to learn to be very calm and peaceful when they work and be spiritual, which is flow and water and ease and empathic, right? So they're shifting, they're making this sort of big mental shift to seeing the importance of being more water, more mellow. And they're taking these new beginnings in their environment, in their living situations, purifying the situation, they're cleaning it out, and potentially also family, beginning a new family. You could be getting pregnant and having a child, but there's something spiritual in the sense that, well, all children are spiritual. So, but basically, it's like a new beginning in your home life, more detailed, but also busyness because of that Saturn, that Mars, Jupiter there, and the Jupiter squaring Saturn. So you're restructuring your life completely and shifting, living. And plus Mercury, your ruling planet, is in Leo. So you're in a pretty passionate, inspired third house energy, communication, and just very busy, but with a spiritual. That's why this is a busy thing, because you're making a big shift to something. You're going to go more Zen in your property. Most likely you're going to live more Zen. So it could make you very busy as you rid yourself of things, because now you want clearer downloads. So you want to clear your space because you're going to start working more connected.
You were talking about passion and the red bird of paradise. That's one of the keynotes of this. So it's feeling that passion and motivation for maybe those projects that feel very spiritually connected. It's got an energy of focus. It's got an energy of get it done. So Geminis can be a bit scattered. So maybe now they'll focus in on the specifics to get maybe a home project done, or maybe to purchase that property, or start the renovation that you know you needed to do that you haven't been able to get going. So and this also is a really good indicator of effortless action. So this isn't going to feel hard or heavy or challenging. It's going to feel very easeful. Like you're ready to do it. So red bird of paradise.
Wow. All right. That red energy was pretty Marsy, wasn't it? Mars in their first house. They're pretty
Very
active.
Marsy. Yeah.
Just watch out. Way of a Gemini right now. Just go whoop.
All right. So here we go. We got Cancer.
Their risings. And again, these reports are for rising signs, but you can look at your sun and your moon, but I set the chart to the rising sign. So for Cancer, all of this energy, third house in your, again, busy third house, Gemini house, mercurial communication, your website, your internet, your social media, you're taking new beginnings. You have more of a higher guided clarity and detailed orientation, like an ability to really be more precise and detailed around something in your third house, which can be siblings, which can be short distance travel and people that are around you on a day-to-day so it's almost like a new beginning involving writing, a writing project, communication. It could be collaborative, and internet media, new beginnings there. A writing project, I said. Now we've got Mercury in your second house, and Mercury is basically forming a square. I forgot, I just noticed we are going to be getting another Mercury square in Uranus building up in September, which is like another sort of surprise information kind of stuff coming in. But so this is a creative project. This is a creative new beginning with Mercury ruling this new moon in Leo. So there's a creative, talented, artistic type endeavor going on here, which puts, and it's going to have, not to rub this topic over and over, but it's going to have a big spiritual, like a guiding spiritual light to it. It'll have a empowering, faith restorative energy to it, this project. So it's very inspired, and it is going to work. This is as a result of Mercury being in retrograde, bringing something back from the past. Now we're going forward, and it is something that is going to have an auspicious, and it is part of the Jupiterian, your vision or your long-term goal. So what do you got there?
We've got dandelion for Cancer, and dandelion is telling you to relax, to dissolve any tension. And this could be mental tension. Third house has a lot to do with that, like thinking. So there'll be a feeling of mental freedom. And I love this one phrase on this card, joyful persistence. I love that. You will feel joyful in tackling whatever project that it is, or communicating in a way that might be different for you or new for you. So just recognizing that there is an opportunity here for some mental freedom, I feel like will be very supportive for Cancer.
Yes, and I love that it's two dandelions and a dead one over there. So because almost like saying this one works and it's collaborative, the other one didn't work. So yeah,
that's an interesting perspective too. All right, and then now we've got Leo.
So something. Oh, good. You're doing Leo. Oh, good. You're doing that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
The other way is to tell me what number we're at, and I can write that down, but it's okay. All right. So let's look at Leo. So you guys, you have you're talking that leadership conversation. So you guys are being pushed to lead a little bit here with that Mercury in which is ruling this new moon. So I'm going to give message you may not want to hear, but basically you're stepping up into leadership more because you've got your ruling planet in that sign of in your first house. So it's like you're going to be motivated, driven. Now you have Mercury over your second house. This is about money. So this is like a new way of making money that's passionate, that's creative, that inspires you. Now Leos often have a cause, and this is leadership, stepping into leadership. Leos are here for leadership. So there's some sort of stepping into leadership, taking some inspiration, a message. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So it's like expanding a message from the gods somehow. And you're healed now because this is making a really positive aspect to Chiron. So there's confidence. The lion has the crown. Leos lose their crown in the past lives in wars, and there's fightings amongst the kings and the Leos. Often when you see Leos on this planet, they're kings that have lost their crown. They have a little bit of an upset about that, right? So really the thing that makes a Leo a king is their innate inherent abilities to lead and serve. So that's the crown isn't what makes you a king. What makes you a king is what's inside you, what's the fiber inside you. So the Leos are sort of recognizing that their fiber of who they are as leaders is to step forward and to not be dependent on some sort of external crown that makes you king. So we're going to have the Leos stepping forward, leading in some area in a mercurial realm of communication, business. And this, again, is a new moon in your second house. So it's a practical way of making money. So this whole thing is about a practical way of making money from a spiritual download, from the spiritual direction, a spiritual guidance, or for a spiritual purpose. Venus, you're going to have that eclipse in your third house. So that's a media type thing coming up. So yeah, there you go for Leo. What do you got?
So funny. This card literally, I barely shuffled. It just came flying out of the deck. And the banana yucca, one of the keynotes for this, guess what it is?
What?
Leadership. Collaboration and leadership. This activates this like hidden potential or hidden talent that you might carry. And it's really kind of I take it as a bit of a wink from the universe. Like, you have these talents, utilize them. They're here for you to, maybe, as you were saying, to reclaim your crown in a way. And it also gives Leos a sense of purpose. You know, as a Leo sun, sometimes I feel this pull to guide or lead or empower in some way or inspire in some way, but I don't know what that is or what's the purpose of it. So I'm excited at the potential of knowing what that is and having banana yucca as part of the journey. So banana yucca for Leo.
I don't know if I am right in this recall, but I feel like we had that card before for Leo, but maybe not, but maybe it was for the Leo new moon, full moon. But that is about the true Leo coming out. Remember, we were saying that the Leo is actually really communicating divine light. They're really just spreading divine light and lighting people up, inspiring. So it's kind of interesting that that's that card again. It's kind of like the Leo is individual, because the Leo express their individual.
The last moon cycle was gardenia for Leo, which is a white flower. It could have been, this could have been another one, but I know last moon cycle it was gardenia.
Okay. Good memory.
Well, I worked with it. I worked with the flower, so I can't tell what the number stamp is. So I'm going to just continue to hold this up. So we have Virgo.
New moon in your first house. So you guys are going through a big new beginning. A lot of times when you have a new moon in your first house, you change your identity, you cut your hair, you look different. And it's usually a more authentic version of yourself, you know. So I would say that Virgo it can be a tough new moon in your first house because it's going to be comes that you change because you don't feel good about something. So it's like you change through motivation from something not great happening. So it's like you start a new thing that's better because it didn't work before. So this is improvement. This is a new beginning. Your ruling planet is in trine with Chiron. So you're really doing much better healing. You're feeling, although you've got your Jupiter, Mars in your sign, squaring Saturn, ruled by Mercury. So you really are having to really pay the piper some way, really change something. I do know a Virgo who's kind of going through this. They really have to pick up the bootstraps and really put some hard work into something that they really don't want to. It's driving me absolutely crazy. Internet thing. I don't know what's going on. I had to just move over here. This seems to be better, actually. Driving me bananas. Okay. All right. Can you hear me okay?
Oh my gosh, I think I was talking that whole time and my mic was muted.
It's okay.
Holy moly. All right.
Whoa, this is nutty. This is like Mercury at the end of the retrograde, just acting up like crazy.
Yes.
All
All
right.
right. So we're just gonna like take two on Virgo. Sorry, folks. If you're and people are gonna be watching this replay or are online now going like, what's
Whatever.
with the sound on my system?
Yeah, well, we just keep going
Okay, so Madeline, you were talking a lot about change in
for the
about with for Virgo, and that there's a lot of change coming up for them. And the lilac was the flower for Virgo, and this activates flexibility. The message is adapt quickly to changes. It gives people a feeling of accepting where they are, accepting the way where they are, accepting the people as they are, the ability to accept change, adapt to change. So such a powerful support for people, no matter where they are on their journey during this new moon, to adapt to the changes that you were talking about. So pretty cool.
And remember, with that purple color, we're going spiritual.
True.
And then don't forget, Virgo and Pisces axis is going to have for the next couple year and a half, we're going to get a lot of eclipses for Virgo Pisces. So this is preparing you for a lot of big, even more changes that are coming, you know.
More changes.
Yeah.
Get ready, buckle up.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. We're moving on now to, hold on, let me go back here to
Get the chart back up here. Okay,
Libra.
let's go to let's see, we are now at Libra. So Libra are you know, really this is an interesting time for Libra because they're going to have a eclipse coming into their first house coming up here in less than a month, or and I'm sorry, in a month and or so. And so we're preparing now. They were going to have this in their 12th house. So they're clearing up some sort of like karma around past life tendencies towards impurity. addictions maybe, or clearing fear-based ideas that they have to be perfect about their, it's almost like, because they're having these eclipses coming up, it's almost like they're learning the source of why a Libra might be living a harlot's life, or a life that's not their true, in faith, fear-based type of choices in love, all things Venus, money, connections, because Libras can work really hard for connections and sort of at their own expense. So it's almost like they're purifying a karmic source reason for some of their decisions that have thrown them off alignment, because it's in the 12th house. So you're really clearing some sort of deep purging, a lot of deep purging for Libra, like density, deep fear-based purge getting cleaned out here. And so the new moon is almost like this fresh new beginning. They're ruled by Venus. This is very Venetian, this Virgo. It's in the part of the sky that's ruled by a lot of Venus, and the star is ruled by Venus. So it's like they are purifying a past life trauma around Venus things, all things Venus. And this is why a Libra rising person would have chosen out of fear-based short-term gratification. Going to be able to make more higher-based choices. Venetian, spiritual Venetian, spirit Venus, the way Venus wants. The more, that is the ultimate thing for Libra, is to have Venus, spiritual Venus. So this is like a spiritual awakening, Virgo new moon, big time for Libra, where they become connected to the source of their deep fears that pull them out of purity.
Okay, Librans, we have the navel orange blossom as a support for you in this moon cycle. And this activates warmth. And the message is, it's good to be alive. And I find that so comforting when you're talking about 12th house, a 12th house activation of this moon, because the 12th house can feel really deep. And there's I don't know, like sometimes a challenge that comes because you're going really into like the of your spiritual story. So this magnify, and you also were talking about Venus, and Venus is a very sensual planet. This magnifies sensuality in a form of appreciation. So being able to appreciate what you've experienced, appreciate the lessons that you've learned, appreciate your life as it is, and appreciate maybe the lessons that weren't so that weren't so Venusian in their energy, and to be able to integrate them in this new moon. Yeah,
I really find
it for that.
Yeah, because that Libra is air energy, it's that white energy, and that leaf is Mercury. I mean, Virgo. So it's almost like the truth. Libras can be a little dishonest a little bit, because they say things that want other people to be happy, like they can,
Yeah.
And it's almost like they're speaking a truth. And then they're grounding it, that earth energy, and coming more into an authenticity about what's real for them, real. That's cool.
Yeah, that is. Okay. We have
All right.
Scorpio next.
Here. Scorpio. So you guys have Virgo over your 11th house. So you're having a new beginning involving perhaps media, but also a tribe, new people, new groups, a new, where you just meet a new, now this is a Venus thing, so it could be romantic. But we've got the Libra in your 12th. So let's take a think about that. So that's going to be kind of like you're ruled by Mars, and Mars is in Gemini right now, and Mars is squaring Neptune. So talk about a new perspective with Mercury in your 10th house involving Leo there. Scorpio are sort of having a new perception about letting themselves go and being free and leading, because that Leo is that 10th house, leading in some way of communication, media, The sun in the 11th house, it's almost like they're letting down an ego wall of who they are online or in the media or in their career, and sort of going for something, and they're going to have an eclipse in their 12th house with coming up, where they're going to really release some past life, I would say, out of balance thinking, that you have to be out of balance in relationships. That doesn't, I mean, what I mean by that is that you have to be like involved in karmic relationships and attached to them in order to sort of survive, or that kind of an energy. But now with that, there's this confidence with sun in the 11th, you meet new people, and you can now step forward leading more, and kind of like, the Scorpios are very honest, and sort of like lead through revealing of more of themselves, a little bit kind of energy. But a new moon in the 11th house is a new beginning involving tribe, new groups, new social media networking, perhaps a new social media page, a new social media, why am I blanking on that word? Feed, so, or a new message, or a message that you really get passionate about, then you start going forward on. I am working with a couple Scorpio, one Scorpio who is actually working on that right now, and changing who she is online, and becoming much more her, before she's trying to be sort of an image of something, and now it's more of authentic her. So it's like this new version of you that's coming out, that's more pure, that's not trying to sort of make people like you. Yeah, Mars, your ruling planet, is in your 8th house, which is the Scorpio house. So it's like, it's sort of like empowering you to overcome some kind of fear around how your tribe see you. It's really a new beginning, where you start doing something with sort of having overcome some sort of fear about being an oddball or a normal, not normal. And now you can be that. You're confident to go ahead and, or in your tribe, or you're going to start meeting a tribe that really does fit with who you truly are, that has a spiritual connection rather than just material.
Okay, so the flower for Scorpio, it's one of those flowers that you see it and you're like, oh, it feels intense. And I feel like, as a Scorpio rising myself, there's an intensity to that placement. And this is the flower.
It's like Batman. Looks like that.
It's called the black bat flower. And it's a super intense flower to work with. Now, the beauty of this is that it activates fearlessness. It activates confidence. It gives you a fierce compassion. It allows you to support and advocate for yourself and for others. And there's a power in this flower to propel you forward. So I loved everything that you were saying. It's like, okay, whether that's in your social media presence, or your online presence, or in your friend groups, maybe there's been a stagnancy. Maybe there's been like, you're holding back for fear, or out of fear, or, you don't want to share too much. And this gives you that feeling of safety in a way to be able to do that. So the black bat flower for Scorpio. And again, there's the purple.
It does have that energy of breaking out of a fear, like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Madeline's frozen again.
Scorpio, because Scorpio connection to darker energies in a way. So it's almost like saying, I'm going to open this up for the light, That's 12th house, the eclipse that's coming up too. Yeah, so Scorpio does it, open the darker energies and lets the light in, So, okay, great.
All right. Sagittarius.
All right, Saggies, you guys have Virgo over Virgo in your 10th, career. Yay. So that's like a new beginning in your career. And again, there's something very pure, and I would say sort of spiritually driven, or your soul knows this is the right thing. It's connected. If you go download first before you act, you're going to start a new beginning that really is in alignment for your higher self. You're guided by either higher realm, yourself, or spirit. And you start a new fresh start somewhere in your career, a new job, a new work project. again, it's going to be part of the Jupiter calling. It's going to be a new beginning that is part of the new adjustment that Saturn is doing with Jupiter there, and Jupiter is your ruling planet for Saggies. So you are being adjusted, you are being tilted here. And then Mars and Jupiter, your ruling planet, being in Gemini, in a mutable energy, you're changing your minds, you're shifting a little bit in your career with a new beginning. Could be a writing project because it's ruled by Mercury. Venetian, it could so it could also be it's going to be a abundant new beginning, like Venus. Good, it could be money, it could be a creative writing project. Saggies, but yes, and I always want to add that Virgo is disciplined, it's every day, it's practical, it's something you're going to do every day, it's going to work out, it's going to serve, it's going to be of service, and it is going to be a part of, like I said, the new Sagittarian destined archery where it wants to go.
I think that she was done. Were you done? Okay, I wasn't sure. You froze again. Okay, so we have
Yeah,
the giant spider lily for Sagittarius. And this one I think is interesting. This magnifies feeling light and buoyant and streamlining. So streamlining processes maybe that will help support your career instead of maybe being, this looks a little scattered, but it's more like, but the petals are thin. So it's almost like we're not going to be spread out too much. We're going to really bring it in. We're going to like hone in on the specific things that we need to do. The message is also free your mind. So we have this mercurial ruled new moon, maybe expanding the mind. I mean, most Sagittarians don't need a whole lot of support there. You're already pretty open-minded, higher-minded thinking, but maybe it's expanding you even a little bit more. It also brings in the energy of simplicity. So you don't need to overcomplicate things. Just keep it simple, streamlined, lighthearted.
that looks like busyness. If I ever saw busyness, that's a busy.
It does look busy.
That's busyness there, right there. So that's all I need to say
Yeah.
for you. Is you might be busy in your work, which is, I like to be busy because I'm my
I was
son.
going to say, get ready, Madeline.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking about busy, we got the Capricorns over here.
Right, the hard workers and
Yes.
belief, new opening, and if they're going to see something. If you have a new moon in Virgo in your ninth house in Capricorn, it's kind of like a new beginning based on some sort of aha, like based on a new clarity around either religion or spirituality or higher consciousness. So it's almost like Capricorn are going to operate from a higher consciousness place and start a new beginning from a new spiritual perspective. And when I say that, it sounds really kind of vague. But what I mean by is a higher minded idea, a higher concept of something that could serve the people from a higher perspective, from a higher vision. Like maybe they start to write the ninth house, they start to write a project, they start to write a book or something. If you have planets there, you might be a writer. Mercury there, Mercury ruled. So you want to start saying higher messages, you just want to pass on a message with your work. Most Capricorns are nose to the grindstone. They prefer just to work hard and have good results and not worry about all the other vague ambiguities on the planet. But like with the Capricorn, no heart on Capricorns. I love Capricorns. I don't. They're not entirely unspiritual, but they just like the material, the realm. They work hard in that. They work with that very well. And
I feel like the more Capricorn, the older the Capricorns are, the more open they are to spirituality. They may not be even aware of it because they got their like blinders on, just focused on where they're.
And the Capricorn sign is in this sort of new moon in Virgo, ninth house. They're starting to sort of see a practical application of a spiritual perception or a spiritual concept or a more spiritual, higher consciousness way of operating that puts them on a purer path of their work. And it's not creating karma. It's like a pure new beginning because there's some sort of understanding of a spiritual. Now, how could I use that as a practical example? Let's think of something like, let's say you're a teacher and you've operated in a way that's very dogmatic and you're telling people this, and now maybe you decide to start teaching in a way that opens people's minds up and you want to start teaching other philosophies that are more open-mindedness or introducing, you're going to start introducing more higher concepts or something. So you start opening up to other paradigms. And let's say you're, let's take a practical job, like you're in corporate, or you're you work in an office, and you're in, Capricorns are good at that. And they're in some sort of what do you call it? Administrative type position. Well, now they start to approach their work with a more spiritual flow and a more relaxed and less stress, and they want a new practical beginning of operating in their work where they're not stressed. They're going to start being more spiritual and flow and meditate more and not let their work stress them out. So that can be spiritual. You go sit in a water fountain every day. You have a new beginning where you start a spiritual practice at your work, so you're not stressed.
Okay, I don't know if we lost her. Oh, are you back? I'm going to assume you're done and talk about
I'm
the
back.
flower. Okay. Were you? I feel like you were done. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So we have the night blooming Sirius for Capricorns. This activates fearlessness. The message is take the leap. I love this because it's taking the leap towards your full potential, taking the leap for personal growth. And how do we expand on personal growth? Typically, it's through spirituality. So aligned. And then literally one of the key words on this card is the realization. And we talked about that earlier on and at the beginning of the chat, the realization of your true gifts and the ability to expand on them. And this flower is so expansive. But then there's this, in the center, this is a night blooming flower. So it comes out in the darkness. So there might be some fear that you have to overcome in order to really expand and shine. And Capricorns can be fearful at times, especially when they have a goal in mind and they're feeling like they don't know if they can get there, or that it feels so far away. So I love this flower, the night bloom Sirius for Capricorn.
Capricorn, wherever Capricorn is in your chart,
We'll have to have Madeline repeat what she's saying that we're not hearing, because I feel like it's good, but we're just not getting it.
There you are. Are you there?
Yes. So you were saying Capricorns. We didn't get very far.
Yeah, if you want to go and you want to really tackle a fear in your psyche body, like a deep fear, like really purge it out, really get this fear out of you, it's in your Capricorn house. It's in wherever Capricorn is. I'm telling you, I know from my own experience.
Oi.
Yep.
Capricorn. That happens to be where my North Node is. So my future depends on it.
Yep, it depends on you. That is the dragon's head, where you're going to conquer that fear. You're going to boom, kill it. That's the dragon inside. The real dragon in stories of mythology and folklore is battling the dragon within us, which is what prevents us from succeeding. And it's our own inner enemy, the inner.
Yeah, I feel that. All right. So Aquarius.
So you ruled by Saturn, both Capricorn and you are ruled by Saturn, when we forgot about the whole Saturn Jupiter thing, but whatever, we can't do it all in these. But anyway, Aquarius.
We're doing our best, folks. We're doing our best.
Yeah. Virgo over your 8th house. Speaking of fear, okay, the other thing you want to look at is your 8th house. Whatever you've got going in your 8th house, you're going to have some deep, if you have planets there, you've got some deep fears of survival around that topic in that planet. So the new moon there, 8th house, new beginnings involving, so the 8th house is other people's money. So you could get a financial assistance or an inheritance or money from refinancing, or you decide to refinance, or you start to get investments, or you start to seek external forms of income and support, financial, a new beginning. And or the other thing is a new beginning involving joint resources. If you could start a relationship, if something else is going on in your chart where you're starting a relationship. Now, I know a couple of Aquarians, they could decide they're working on a house. So they could decide to get a loan to fix up the house, or they could decide to put a second on the house and invest in another property. But basically, because it's this energy of new pure beginnings, there is involving a fear, because the eighth house is the other big house where you're going to really make contact. New moons in my eighth house have triggered some deep fears, right? So you could have this real, like something could come up, that something could show up in your house, something else going on in your chart where there's a problem and you have to get money and it's upsetting and you have to do a new moon. But this really expands and improves your life, and you perhaps pay off other debts and you're saving money from that. So this is a new moon that's a new beginning around finances and money, other people's money, that enables you to create a new stable, practical approach to life, solidify you. Now there is a very much a spiritual thing. There's like, it's like a risk-taking new moon. You're getting over a fear of getting in debt. Perhaps you go into debt. Going into debt is not bad. If you use it right, it can be very, very launching. So perhaps you get over a fear and you go in debt. Maybe you are really afraid and it's really scared you, so you have to go and get a loan, and now you get in debt, but you eliminate something and you pay something off that's really high interest and taking all your money. But so in the long term, you're straightening things out. Financial new moon in your eighth house, new beginnings that overcome some kind of fear of a risk, and then you start taking a risk and you do it, and it's really going to work. What do you got?
Interesting. So we have the euphrasia for Aquarius, and euphrasia activates in your intuition, and the message is be decisive. So you were talking about all these really some decisions that they would have to make around investing, or where they're going to focus their energy and attention. It's to trust yourself to see things clearly and then act without hesitation. And, with the eighth house too, I find that sometimes we don't see certain things. And so with this moon, maybe they'll be able to see things in a new way, and then be able to go, oh, all right, I now see this in a way I haven't seen before. And now I know exactly what action to take, and then trusting their own inner knowing and their intuition to follow that, whatever that guidance is for them. So the euphrasia.
Yeah.
For Aquarius.
Yeah. And it really is, because that you're going to have Pisces over your second. So it's like trusting, having faith in finance, and you're going to have eclipses there. So your income and your money sources are shifting and changing. So yeah, it's almost like expanding your ideas of where to source finances. New beginning there.
Interesting. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay.
Never leave our fabulous Pisces.
There we go.
Who are incredibly powerful right now with that Neptune, the ruling planet, in this huge sextile trine there. So Pisces are going to lead us into the age of spirituality, even though some of them are the least spiritual that we know. But basically, there is the Virgo is going to be in your seventh house of relationships. So it's a new relationship you're beginning, and it's a purified approach to relationships where it's practical, where you find a common practical ground to progress in a relationship, where it could also be business partnerships. The seventh house is often like partnerships, collaboratives. So you could, or a client, you could have a new client come in that really feel like with my work, I have a lot of spiritual clients that I feel like they're like soulmate clients that come in that are part of that you planned before, or that you're going to be really working with. So it's like a new situation, a new relationship, a new collaborative. You could actually sometimes, if you're moving in your chart, you sign a contract for a landlord, they're your seventh house relationship. So we're looking at a new beginning involving a contract, which by the way, you're going to get the push through it spiritually. You're going to get it coming from your first house. So it's like this intuitive push to sort of, and that's the point, is it's a connected situation. This is a new beginning where it's a practical relationship, but there's definitely a spiritual soul connection in this. Because you're going to have eclipses here in your next couple years. So it's like you're really waking up to spiritual relationships, not just practical relationships. So even though there's a practical energy about this relationship, the thing that makes it practical is that it's spiritual, because that's going to make it work. There you go.
All right. So for Pisces, we've got the fire star orchid. Oh, this flower to me is really dynamic.
Passionate. That's
It
pretty
is.
passionate.
Yeah. And so it activates wild creativity. The message is think outside the box. So when I think about this in terms of the seventh house energy, so it might be a business partnership or a romantic partnership that you're doing differently. You're not following the same structure that has been done before. It's innovative, but here's the thing. I feel like even though it's innovative, it's going to be practical in terms of how you can execute it, how you can bring it into reality. And it's got the energy of seeing beyond what you've seen so far. It's that is the innovative, ingenious sort of vibe of this flower. And I love this for Pisces. You know, Madeline, you've talked about your son. I mean, my guy is also Pisces. He's very, your son is in music. My guy is in, film and camera and video work. And so there is a sense of creativity around that. Thinking outside the box. You want the music to be different than the things that have been created before. You want the photos or the videos to have a flair that's uniquely yours. So definite energy of the fire star orchid for Pisces, whether you're a musician or photographer, it doesn't matter. It's like whatever that means for you and creativity. So.
And that's so Mars energy there. And I'm trying to see why, Mars is an immutable sign, and so is Pisces immutable. So there is a Mars presence to that. So, and plus they've got Saturn in their first house and Neptune there. So they're becoming much more responsible, taking on more responsibilities. And that energy of Mars in that card, it's like it's really firing them up.
Yeah. There's some fire to that. So I feel like overall, like you were saying at the beginning of the chat, this is a really nice new moon. It might be a little more challenging for some folks than others. I showed the impact chart at the start. So if you're coming in a little late here, you can refer back to that. But there's just some really, with every moon cycle, there's these gems that we can take away and implement in our lives if we choose to. And either way, the cosmic energy is surrounding us. So we're getting moved a little or a lot, depending on each of us individually. So is there anything else you wanted to share about the new moon and the energy of the planets or that surround it?
I mean, we're really definitely headed towards we're really purifying our energies. We're clearing karma. We're becoming more spiritually awakened, and we're really starting new paths that are more spiritually based. When I say that, it sounds so vague. What I mean is we're following a higher order. We're following a higher message. We're following a higher vision. We're not just operating from the old ways, regurgitating the way things were done, redoing things the way they were done. We're walking whole new paths. And it's pointing to a more spiritual, which means enlightenment, more higher consciousness, more empathic, and more, shall we say, beginnings that work, that change, that fix things, that are based on pure energy, not fear-based karmic short-term pleasures or something, So these are real long-term shifts. We're really ending a time and starting a new time, like an era with a pure slate, with a clean slate.
And it's a gentle unwinding. I think that's the big key of this, is like each moon cycle is like another layer that we're shedding. If we were to like rip everything off at once, it would be really destabilizing and debilitating. So it's just this like little by little, and even the little by little sometimes can feel like a lot. So, fall back on the practices that bring you back into a state of balance. Whatever they are for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really do like that we're clearing the slate. Like we're starting fresh. We're starting over. This is a new, fresh beginning.
Nice.
From a purified motive, from a pure good, like a higher motive. That
Beautiful.
would be my message at the end there.
Beautiful. So for anyone who
why this was such a mess, I don't have to find out why.
I feel like it's just one of those things. It's all good. If anyone is interested in learning more about themselves through the multiple lenses that Madeline and I both play with, our information is below, and as well as a way that you can play with the flowers that were shared within this cosmic chat. We thank you for being with us. We will be back here again in a couple weeks with the Pisces full moon,
Oh, it's
which
eclipse. It's an
is an
eclipse.
eclipse. Yes. So, whoo, buckle up, everyone. All right. Thanks for being with us.
Bye. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Sorry about the.
Bye, everyone.